Have you ever looked someone in the eyes and felt something twist inside you? They smiled, they nodded, they even said they were proud of you, but somewhere, something didn't feel right. Like your soul whispered, this person doesn't mean it. And no matter how much you tried to brush it off, it lingered. No proof, no conflict, no betrayal, just a subtle shift in the air, a quiet tension behind their words. Their applause sounds off-key, their laughter a little too rehearsed, and when you rise, when you finally start to become something more, they pause, just for a second, before pretending to clap. That pause is not a mistake. You're not paranoid. You're not overthinking. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the dark, unspoken side of the human psyche, the part people bury beneath smiles, compliments, and congratulations. But just beneath the surface, something very different brews. Envy, resentment, hate, and worst of all, secret competition. This is why some people become more distant as you grow. This is why success can feel so lonely, because sometimes hate doesn't scream at you, it hugs you, it smiles, and it waits. If you ignore that whisper, that gut feeling, you'll pay the price, not all at once, not with drama, but slowly in silence, emotionally, mentally, maybe even physically. Because when hate wears the mask of love, it becomes a slow poison. It doesn't stab you in the back, it drains you while holding your hand. But if you pay attention, if you know what to look for, you can spot the mask before it tightens. There are signs, subtle, disturbing signs, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. You may think someone just jokes a bit too much, that they're sarcastic, playful, edgy, but their jokes always land in the same place, right where it hurts. You're so sensitive. Relax, I'm just joking. How many times have you heard that? But think about it. Why are the jokes always about your appearance, your failures, your insecurities? Why do they laugh harder when you flinch? These aren't jokes, they're disguised attacks. Sarcasm, when used like this, isn't comedy, it's contempt. Contempt wrapped in timing and tone. Contempt wearing a smile. It's a method of slow psychological erosion. Because they know exactly where your cracks are, and they press their words into them like knives made of laughter. If you react, you're the problem. Too sensitive, too emotional, can't take a joke, so you learn to stay quiet. You laugh along, and then cry later alone. Carl Jung once said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But when people refuse to look inward, they externalize. They project their self-loathing. They dump their darkness onto you, frame it as humor, and call it friendship. They're not being witty. They're releasing their shadow, and you're the target. So next time the joke cuts too deep, ask yourself, who's really laughing here? Maybe it's not a friend. Maybe it's a rival in disguise, and maybe their smile is hiding a knife. It doesn't stop there. Sometimes it isn't what they say, it's what they forget to say, that missed message. That one piece of advice that could have changed everything but never arrived. You told them about the interview. They never followed up. You needed a reference, they forgot. You launched a project they didn't show. Once, okay, life happens. Twice, maybe bad luck, but 3 times, 4, that's not forgetfulness, that's strategy. They won't attack you directly. They'll let the little things slip. They'll feed you well-meaning advice that leads nowhere. They'll encourage you in ways that actually slow you down. And they'll call it love. They'll call it help. They'll tell you, I was just trying to support you. But deep down they know. Carl Jung warned us, those who feel inferior rarely lift others. They drag them down gently, quietly. Because every time you rise, it reminds them of how stuck they are. So they hinder you. Not with sabotage you can confront, but with invisible weights. Weights wrapped in concern, in misdirection, in accidental forgetfulness. They keep you small, not out of hate, but out of fear. Fear that if you grow too tall, you'll look down and see them for what they are. Not a support system, but a silent storm eroding you from the inside. And if you feel like your momentum always vanishes around them, like your ideas start strong but somehow stall when they're involved, you might be in the arms of someone who doesn't want you to fall, but only as long as you stay beneath them. There's another pattern, one you felt before but maybe never named. You win, you achieve something, and you expect joy, celebration, recognition. Instead, you get competition. You say, I just got promoted. They say, oh, I just got offered something better. You say, I finally started my passion project. They say, I did something like that years ago. They don't argue, they just redirect. You speak and they wait for a gap, not to listen, but to outshine. You didn't enter a competition, but they did. Jung understood why. When someone sees in you the growth they abandoned in themselves, they can't celebrate it. They need to compete with it, to challenge it, to prove they still matter. Your joy becomes their scoreboard, your peace a provocation, your progress a personal threat. And so every celebration becomes an unspoken war, not with fists, With energy, you'll feel it in their compliments, slightly rushed, slightly forced, like they're trying to get through it and not feel it. If every time you rise, they rise slightly higher, if every time you share, they countershare louder. You're not growing together. You're being measured, and your milestones have become their mirrors. You didn't ask for that. You just wanted to be seen, but what you got was a contest. And sometimes the competition is so subtle, so polite, that you start to question yourself. You wonder if you're imagining things, but energy doesn't lie. And there's something colder than direct rivalry, superficial kindness. They say all the right things. I'm proud of you. That's amazing. So happy for you. But you feel it, a vacancy in their voice. A missing spark, a mechanical rhythm to their words. The smile never reaches their eyes. Their presence never really lands. And when it matters most, they vanish. When you're at your peak or your lowest, they're nowhere. Busy, distracted, apologetic, but not really. And when they do show up, they feel distant. Present in body, absent in soul. Carl Jung called this ego dissociation. When someone is so emotionally disconnected, they can no longer access real human intimacy. They go through the motions, but they're not really with you. They don't feel joy when you win. They don't feel pain when you hurt. They're spectators in your life pretending to be participants. It's not hatred, but it isn't love either. It's something colder, emptier, a performance. And no matter how good the script sounds, you'll always feel the silence behind the words. You'll always notice who disappears during your storms and who claps a little too quietly in your light. And then comes the softest, most dangerous manipulation of all, control disguised as care. It starts gently. I just want what's best for you. You'll thank me one day. I'm only saying this because I love you. And maybe they do. Maybe they love you, but only when they can control you. You have an idea, they say it's too risky. You make a decision, they suggest you're being emotional. You chase a dream, they warn you, you're not ready. And it sounds wise. It sounds kind, but somehow it leaves you smaller. Their concern doesn't build you, it cages you. You begin to second-guess everything. You hesitate. You ask for their opinion before your own. And slowly, you stop trusting yourself. Carl Jung said that people who can't master their own chaos often seek control over others as a way to create false stability. They don't trust the world, so they try to shape yours. Not to help you thrive, but to manage their fear. They clip your wings while telling you it's for your safety. They keep you close, not because they believe in your power, but because they fear your independence. So they smother you with caution, mask their fear as wisdom, and call their doubt love. But ask yourself, if someone's care consistently leaves you doubtful, dependent, and quietly afraid of moving without them, is that love, or is that control with perfume on? Real love says, even if you fail, I'm with you. Fake love says, just do it my way and you'll be fine. One frees you, the other binds you with a smile. You might not see the chains at first, but over time, you'll feel them in every step you don't take, and you'll start to realize. The most dangerous prisons are the ones built from affection. Not hate, not rage, but soft, suffocating concern. And behind that mask, there's fear, there's insecurity, there's someone who needs you to stay small so they can feel big. You don't owe them your wings, you owe yourself the sky. And if you've ever felt that kind of gentle choke, that pull disguised as protection, maybe it's time to stop asking for their permission and start reclaiming your freedom. You walk into a room. People glance at you, then quickly look away. The air feels colder. No one says anything, but something has changed. That's how gossip works. Not with drama, but with subtle shifts in energy. You didn't hear anything. You didn't do anything wrong. But still, something's been said. Something's been twisted. And now you're left in the dark trying to make sense of shadows. When people can't confront you, they don't stay silent. They speak. Just not to you. They whisper behind closed doors. They turn your words sideways. They sow doubt in the minds of others until the warmth you used to feel is gone. It's strategic. It's quiet. It's devastating. They won't lie outright. They'll just suggest. Don't you think they've changed? Did you hear what happened? Yeah, I don't know, something feels off with them lately. Nothing concrete, nothing provable, just enough to make others look at you with new eyes, eyes that no longer trust, eyes that hesitate. Carl Jung warned us, the brighter your light, the darker your shadow becomes in the eyes of others. And those who haven't faced their own shadows will try to dim yours. Your growth becomes a threat. Your confidence, a spotlight on their insecurity. Your peace, an unwelcome contrast to their inner chaos. So they turn to the one weapon they can wield without confrontation, your reputation. They can't undo your success. So they question your character, and the damage is done without a single open wound, without a single spoken accusation. You just feel it, in the silence, in the tension. in the way people start treating you like someone you no longer recognize. But here's the truth. Gossip says more about the one speaking than the one spoken about. It's a mirror of their own fear, envy, and helplessness. Because if they were at peace with themselves, they wouldn't need to poison others to feel safe. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to explain or chase or correct. You just need to see clearly and keep walking with dignity. Because your silence will echo louder than their noise. But there's another kind of silence, one that cuts deeper. It's the absence of joy in your victories. You finally got the job. The dream came true. You're rising feeling proud, finally breathing. And they say cool. No excitement, no celebration, no spark in their eyes. You share the biggest moment of your year and they change the subject. You try again. Maybe they didn't hear you right. Maybe they're busy. But deep down you know, they're not happy for you. Because when you were struggling, they were comfortable. You were safe. You made them feel okay about where they were. But now you're proof that change is possible. That progress can happen. And that unsettles them. Carl Jung said it plainly. When someone cannot rejoice in your joy, they're fighting an internal war. They don't hate you. They hate what you reflect. Every step you take forward reminds them of the steps they didn't take. Your glow highlights their stagnation. Your evolution confronts their avoidance. They're not clapping because your growth feels like distance, and distance feels like abandonment. But you didn't leave them behind. They stayed behind when it was time to grow. And now you have to make peace with a hard truth. Some people will walk with you through the fire but can't stand beside you in the light. Because when you bloom, they see everything they've been unwilling to face. That's not your burden to carry. Let it go. And don't shrink to make them comfortable again. You don't owe your past to anyone who refuses to meet your future. But even if they never say it, even if they smile and nod and play the part, there's one place where the truth always leaks out: the body. Words lie, smiles deceive, but the body always tells the truth. Watch closely. They say, "I'm happy for you," but their jaw tightens, their eyes avoid yours, their voice flattens, their posture shifts away, not toward. They clap, but a second too late. They hug you, but there's no warmth in their arms. Their energy feels wrong. You don't know why, but you feel it in your chest, in your gut, in the space between words. Carl Jung understood this better than anyone. The unconscious always speaks through the body. Even when the conscious mind wears a mask, the body betrays what it's really feeling. Because envy is not just a thought, it's a physiological reaction. Their nervous system doesn't lie. Their breathing changes. Their shoulders tense. Their hands twitch when you talk about success. And your intuition, it catches all of it. Before your brain can explain it, before your logic catches up, that ancient instinct, the one meant to keep you alive, it whispers, something is wrong. But most of us were taught to ignore it, to prioritize manners over instincts, to value politeness over perception. So we stay close to people who drain us. We keep relationships that suffocate us, all because we're afraid of seeming unkind. But truth isn't cruel. It's clear, and clarity is a gift even when it hurts. So now that you've seen the signs, what do? You don't have to argue. You don't have to prove anything. You don't even have to make a scene. You just have to protect your peace. Because peace is expensive, and too many of us keep giving it away to people who don't deserve it. It's time to stop over-explaining. Stop begging people to understand you. Stop waiting for them to finally clap, finally cheer, finally love you right. Some never will. And that's not your failure. That's their choice. What you can choose is yourself, your growth, your energy, your truth. Because self-love starts where fake love ends. Not everyone in your circle is in your corner. Some people sit beside you just to study your every move, waiting, watching, smiling, but not to support you, to strike in silence. With fake laughs, with hesitant applause, with love that feels like a leash. So ask yourself, are you surrounded by people who want to see you rise? Or are you simply surviving among those who secretly want to see you stay small? The answer might be hard, but it will set you free. If this resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to someone who's been feeling this but couldn't find the words. Drop a comment below and tell me, which sign hit you hardest? Which moment reflected something you've been trying to ignore? And if you're ready to go deeper, into the raw, the real, the psychological shadows we all carry, subscribe. Because this isn't the end. This is where your clarity begins. And from here, you don't just survive, you